Thursday, brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy.
Tonight in CVM News at 7, it falls short. Opposition rips into government's budget presentation. Mayhem in Manchester. 2 dead after head-on crash on Penn Hill Road. Brace for more. Gasoline Retailers Association warns gas prices will continue to rise. Inquiry this, life after death. Why writing a will can save your family. Later in the business report, UNDP administrator makes first official visit to Jamaica. And while in sports, Mount Pleasant trounced by LA Galaxy in CONCACAF Champions Cup.
CVM News at 7 headlines Thursday, brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy.
Should critical illness strike, don't let worry fill your head. Say hello to happiness and goodbye to worry with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan. Secure your medical expenses in the event of critical illness ahead of time while benefiting from our investment portfolio and so much more. Give yourself and your family the peace of mind you deserve with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan today. And live secure, live easy.
Do it for your best life, do it. Go check your HIV status, wait. So keep your life trending, no pretending. Me I tell yourself it, do it for you, do it for you. Every time you are link with a condom, coulda Ozzy, coulda wife, coulda be a random. Condom connect and protect your profile. Be your own fan, do it for your best life. Do it for your best life, do it. Don't put yourself at risk. Condom connect every time. Do it for your best life, do it.
From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7. It's Thursday, March 12, 2026. I'm Nika Lewis. Thank you so much for joining us. Up first this evening, it falls short. Opposition spokesman on finance Julian Robinson ripped into the government's budget proposal as he made his contribution to the budget debate on Thursday. He says better data means better compliance without asking anyone to pay more than what they owe, as he proposed new revenue measures that could replace the government's proposed new taxes. Among the shifts suggested, an electronic invoicing system for tax administration Jamaica and a digital nomads program. It falls short. The anthem echoed by opposition spokesman on finance Julian Robinson and his PNP colleagues in Parliament as Robinson made his rebuttal to the finance minister's proposed budget. From bashing Minister Favour Williams' proposed new tax measures as an additional burden on the poor and those hardest hit, to crafting his own alternatives to funding the post-disaster budget, Robinson says enough thought was not given to balancing the books with the needs of the people.
It falls short for the man in Mobile whose car was destroyed in the hurricane and who wants to get his taxi business back up and running.
And he might have a loan.
It falls short for the man in Katadupa, the farmer, who we need to produce so that we can import less and we can supply our hotels. And it falls short for the NHT contributors, whose monies continue to be diverted away from the institution it was meant to serve, by a government that once opposed that very practice.
Had the PNP been at the wicket, Robinson says these measures would instead be considered. An electronic invoicing system for the Tax Administration of Jamaica, TAJ, that he says would ensure better tax compliance and generate some $8.6 billion without a new tax. Robinson also cited a digital nomads program similar to one undertaken in Barbados, from which billions more could be generated each year. Additionally, beyond borrowing,
the government is projecting for this coming year to withdraw $9 billion from the Bank of Jamaica. We would take an additional $1 billion to bring the total to 10. Now, I want to make a distinction. This is not the NIR. These are surpluses that are generated from the profits of the BOJ. We also looked at other public bodies who have surpluses, and I looked at the FCJ with a net surplus of $3.14 billion and profits of $5.15. And we would do a transfer of $1 billion from there.
He also knocked the government for its continued withdrawal of funds from the National Housing Trust, a practice the Prime Minister recently said he hopes to end.
The government can mandate local manufacturers and importers to reformulate their products so that sugar content is reduced in those products and provide a time frame by which those manufacturers and importers do so, because it will obviously require some time to reformulate their what they produce. This would reduce the amount of sugar people consume, and the government can do that.
Adamant the government is hiding behind the hurricane, he says long before growth remained unimpressive at 1 to 2%. He notes it will take more than new taxes to help rebuild a stronger economy while ripping through perceived flaws in the new tax package. He poured over the sugary drinks tax.
Bring down requirements, nothing happens. People in the public who have mortgages, car loans, CBOJ, bring down them interest rates, no movement. And there will be no movement unless we can enhance competition within the banking sector. And so, if we want to...
And we apologize for the technical difficulties there. However, the opposition spokesman on finance also took aim at the banking sector as an area where the efficiency of the broader economy can be improved. Robinson says it is directly connected to whether the private sector can actually drive the growth the country needs.
We hear the BOJ governor complain every day. I reduce interest rates and the bank don't do nothing. The banks don't move. I take steps to bring down requirements, nothing happens. People in the public who have mortgages, car loans, CBOJ, bring down them interest rates, no movement. And there will be no movement unless we can enhance competition within the banking sector. And so, if we want to unlock growth, if we want companies to be able to access funding at a reasonable rate, if we want businesses to expand, they must be able to access capital at reasonable rates. And so, while fiscal policy can work, the monetary policy is not, because the monetary transmission mechanism is clogged. And it is clogged because of the high concentration in the way the banking sector currently operates. The government can do more to facilitate competition in the sector, which will free resources that can go to economic growth and job creation.
Robinson also argued that opening government deposits to all banks through a competitive system so that smaller banks have access to lower cost funds would incentivize banks to compete more aggressively on lending rates.
So the government, through its ministries, agencies and departments, is the single largest holder of deposits within the banking sector. Those deposits, by and large, remain with the two largest banks. And the government has to implement a system that ensures that there's a more transparent and competitive way in which all banks can access government deposits.
In other news now, 2 men are dead and another in hospital following a motor vehicle crash along the Penhill Main Road in Manchester earlier this afternoon. The deceased have been identified as Lamar Lewis and Livingston McEwen, both employees of the National Water Commission. Reports from the Jamaica Constabulary Force indicate that at about 1:30, both men were in a Suzuki Swift traveling downhill when a Toyota Wish traveling in the opposite direction reportedly failed to keep left and collided with the Swift. 3 people were taken from the vehicles and transported to hospital, where the 2 men were pronounced dead. An eyewitness who saw the crash unfold described the moment of impact.
I helped the man out of the vehicle. The one was driving into other vehicle to Spalding Hospital. When I take him out, he was yapping.
Which other vehicle?
And the other one was trying to get the other one out of the vehicle. So we checked it, he was partially passed off at that time. So I cannot recall the time at the accident. You understand?
Okay.
So that's all I know. I just helped
So
him.
what stage were they in when you tried to help? In terms of injuries or anything like that?
Yeah, the man, the one who lying and the driver have severe injury. I cannot tell you his feet break, his hand break or anything.
Over in St. Anne, a family is homeless tonight after fire destroyed their home in Exchange, Ocho Rios, Wednesday afternoon. As Akeem Arendt reports, it's alleged the fire started from a utility pole.
Me homeless. Me not have nothing. Everything burn out. Me lose everything.
The heartbreaking cry of Shireen Campbell. Her home was destroyed by a fire Wednesday afternoon. Reports from the Jamaica Fire Brigade are that the team responded to a call shortly after 1 in Cornpeace Middle Street Exchange, St. Anne. On arrival, the house completely shattered.
I know where to sleep. My daughter school things, them everything. My stepson everything. Me naked. Me not have nothing. Nothing me not have. JPS left me homeless. I me pay my bill every month, $19,000 and $20,000. I'm homeless.
Residents claim the fire started from a utility pole just outside the house. The neighbor of the fire victim recounts the tragedy.
I in my room and my brother called me and tell me, sir, I'm burning house up on fire, so my run come out. Basically, like I run a room I start from. Because when I look the window, but around there I see the blaze. But through then I look out the window, then say the breeze blow the fire, make it burn down so quick. So, I did I try, but get out of control.
When they come, it burn directly, zinc and everything drop. So it basically burn out.
Do you have any idea of what might have caused the fire?
Then see electrical problem on the post out here.
The estimated loss of the fire that has left 2 adults and 2 minors without a home stands at $5 million Jamaican dollars. Reporting for CVM News, I'm Akeem Arendt.
CVM News at 7 continues in just a moment.
Food always tastes to savor. Giving you the best, giving you the flavor. Nice enough the kitchens all across Jamaica. Happy smile when you see the price you pay for. Corned beef and the sausage.
New pack.
Ketchup and the pepper sauce.
New pack.
Beans and the baked beef.
New pack.
Rice.
New pack.
Oil.
New pack.
Yeah. New pack. Foods always tastes to savor. Giving you the best, giving you the flavor. Nice enough the kitchens all across Jamaica. Happy smile when you see the price you pay for. New pack. More than just value.
It's the sleep event at Quartz from March 13 to 15 with up to 40% off select mattresses and bedroom sets. Shop any size mattress starting at $19,999. Plus, get more when you shop on credit. The Quartz sleep event with up to 40% off mattresses and bedroom sets. Quartz, bringing value home. Conditions apply.
Every dream conquered is another dream game. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard, and the stop playing and the people never say we are mash up the dance. Oh, what a feeling, don't stop dreaming, keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance, song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't put it dark, shine your lights on.
Thanks so much for staying with us. IDB Invest is set to come to the Caribbean for the first time this May, bringing its Sustainability Week to Barbados. The move signals a growing push by the Inter-American Development Bank Group to deepen private sector investment across the region. But even as the IDB Group explores new ways to support Caribbean growth, leaders from the region say the Caribbean may hold more of the answers than it thinks. Amoy Harriet files this report.
In a world where distant conflicts can affect even the smallest economies, Caribbean leaders are being forced to think bigger and closer to home. Tonight, Finance Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Kennedy Swaratsing, talks to us about why the region may need to stand together now more than ever.
As in any regional institution or bodies, again, relationships by definition ebb and flows. There are ways in which we can, as a community, as a regional community, use the strength of the region. So there was a time, for example, we talked about Guyana being the food baskets of the Caribbean. You know, aggregate being developed in St. Vincent and Dominica and so on.
It's against this backdrop, Minister Swaratsing says countries ought to be focused on building the non-hydrocarbon sector. He believes this is a solution for the Caribbean to weather geopolitical shocks.
Because we continue to be exposed to shocks. As I said initially, both positively and negatively. There are times when those external shocks will impact positively and the price of oil and gas will go up. And there are times when it will impact negatively and the price of oil and gas will go down. It happened to us in the 80s. That's when we went to the IMF in the 1986, 1990 administration, you know, and of course in those days, you're too young to know, but in those days we had to reduce cola and other things and so on. When the price of oil went down to about $10, you know, so we sustainable development requires greater predictability. In fact, I would also want to advocate a greater use of methanol as a fuel for energy production, as well as opposed to, so that we find ways in which we can use the strength of the region.
In the meantime, in just over 2 months, IDB Invest is set to come to the Caribbean for the first time. Leonardo Mazet is Principal ESG Officer of IDB Invest.
This is a tremendously important topic where the Caribbean can not only be sort of in the lead, but can also be an example for many, many other economies to play. So we are investing significantly in creating a pipeline of projects that look at ocean health and blue economy opportunities.
He says resilient infrastructure is one of the IDB's main goal.
And ensuring that the infrastructure is being conceived and thought through and upgraded so that it can really withstand some of the challenges that it is confronted with. The other one is really helping, energy solutions that are able to continue the decarbonization agenda of our countries in the Caribbean. And I think that's another vehicle of opportunity. Another one that I really want to emphasize is, again, adaptation from an enterprise standpoint. Why would a company be concerned about adaptation? What does it mean for their business? Well, what we know is that there is a very significant long-term competitiveness and efficiency gains in investing in adaptation solutions.
Reporting from Asuncion, Paraguay, I'm Amoy Harriet for CVM News.
Returning home now, brace for more increase in oil prices. That's the word from President of the Jamaica Gasoline Retailers Association, Philip Chung, as geopolitical tensions, including the war in the Middle East, continue to drive up oil prices. Natasha Williams has this report.
With oil prices surging sharply stemming from the impact of the conflict in the Middle East, President of the Jamaica Gasoline Retailers Association, Philip Chung, says that the nation should brace for more increases as everyone will feel the pinch.
We've seen an increase in gasoline, motor gasoline, of $9 over the last 2 weeks. And it will have an impact on transportation costs. It will have an impact on our other bills and expenses.
He's calling on public transport operators to use their discretion and only marginally increase their fares if they have to.
But we still anticipate more increase as time goes on.
And do you think that this is due to the war in the Middle East at this time, right?
Oh yes, most definitely. Anytime there's a spike or a concern that affects oil production, oil transportation, we can expect that the speculation will be there. The Gulf prices will increase based upon the speculation. In fuel prices, it is already happening.
Yes.
You know, our pump price has increased by $9 and there is an expectancy for it to go further. All we can do is to pass on the increase. We cannot absorb it from our end. We're not capable of doing that.
Okay.
So anytime the extra refinery prices increase, the pump price will increase.
In the meantime, Jamaica Tourism Ground Transportation Association President Astley Shakes says another conflict is brewing with ride-sharing operators, quote, eating out their profit.
That is one of the sour points, sir. Because when we look at ride-share and especially Uber, which I know of a fact that bankrupt certain taxi operators in large cities and large countries, we are concerned about the effect it's going to have on us. Why not about local, but they find ways and means to have the local buy into this thing. You understand? While we have other local ride shares that nobody using, you know? So this is something that is all the association is agreeing on, that we have to face this monster who don't own one vehicle. So when you check it out and they put something up to operate illegally against us, they get illegal operators that don't register with nobody. And they know can cut the fare as we are contemplating gas price raise that is going to affect us and affect the whole wider Jamaica and even the government. And we are saying that we are not going to stand for that.
There has been a sharp increase in price of fuel since the conflict began. Natasha Williams, CVM News.
It's a difficult conversation many Jamaican families avoid. What happens when someone dies without a will? Legal experts warn that failing to plan can leave loved ones facing court battles, confusion, and lengthy delays in accessing property, bank accounts, and other assets. That's tonight's focus on Query This with Akeem Aret.
When a loved one dies, grief is often followed by another harsh reality, the absence of a will. For many of you, that moment opens the door to legal uncertainty, disputes, and long waits before you can access what your deceased relative intended to bequeath. Attorney at law Christopher Henry says when someone dies without a will, the law determines who has the authority to manage the estate.
The legal authority vests in the person who would be designated as the administrator. This comes from the Estates, Intestates and Property Charges Act, and this is an application for a grant of administration that has to be sought from the courts, and that application is to be made by either the spouse or children, and then there's another list of priority that goes from after the spouse and children, if there are none, brothers and sisters, parents, grandparents.
Many people assume that when a husband or wife dies, the surviving spouse automatically receives everything. But according to Attorney Henry, that is not always the case. Under Jamaican law, assets are divided according to a legal distribution formula.
So it is spouse, children, brothers and sisters, then they separate brothers and sisters from brothers of the whole blood and brothers and sisters of the whole blood and brothers and sisters of the half blood. Then they go to parents, then they go to grandparents. For some reason, nieces and nephews are not included, neither are grandchildren. The table of distribution also speaks to that the spouse is not to get all. She is to get all if there is no children. If there is children and if it's only one, they split it 50-50.
And when the deceased owned land, a house or other property, the situation can become even more complex. Before any property can be sold, transferred or legally claimed, you must first go through the proper legal process, often requiring the court to appoint someone to administer the estate.
You have to make an application for a grant of administration. This is made at the Supreme Court. Before you even reach to the Supreme Court, and because the person died without a will, you have to seek the certificate of the Administrator General so that it can proceed to the Supreme Court to make the grant of application. Note as well that in the event that the estate contains or has minor children, the Administrator General's Department is mandated by law to administer that estate. So they can issue their own instrument to administer that estate if there are minor children.
These situations have led to family disputes, delays, and expensive legal battles.
Deadlift is one of the most contentious things in this world. If it is not fighting over land, it is fighting over money. And in fighting over those things, much of the issues could have been solved if the person had just simply written their will. Because it would have stated who is to get what and who is to benefit from the estate from who is not to benefit from the estate. So I would encourage everyone watching this, please, you're not going to die tomorrow, make your will. If you don't want your children know, screech and go to your lawyer and just make your will, please.
The easiest way to avoid these complications, prepare a will before you die, because without one, the courts and not your family will ultimately decide who manages the estate and how assets are shared, a reality many families only discover after a loved one has already passed. That's all the time we have inside Query This tonight. Remember, if you have a legal dilemma or concern you would like us to query, send an email at art@cvmtv.com. I am Akeem Art. See you next week on Query This.
CVM News at 7 returns after this break.
You see me? Me love my food and my ketchup run the flavor in so many ways. Miss Powers, I want to turn up your food, sir.
My secret ingredients, Charles tomato ketchup, run the flavor.
Charles ketchup, run the flavor. Richer, thicker, and more affordable. Chicken box, what run the flavor?
Charles tomato ketchup.
Charles tomato ketchup, run the flavor, richer, thicker, and more affordable.
Yes, me do. What you do? Me go check me prostate.
No, seriously?
Me nah do that. Remember say that pops drop out from, Me have to take it serious. You can just do the blood test, But better safe than sorry. So me do the full package. Plus, the NHF card help pay for the PSA test. Biggs, you're 40, The earlier, the better. Cause me know you still want fire on all cylinder.
That is it. NHF is here for health. NHF is here for you.
Thanks so much for staying with us. It's now time for the Business Report with Joel Crosskill.
Lots to develop on with you in the Business Report today, associated with the first official visit to Jamaica of the United Nations Development Programme UNDP Administrator Alexander De Croo since assuming the office on December 2, 2025. As Administrator, De Croo presides over the UNDP's new Global Strategic Plan 2026 to 2029, which he now describes.
So to really summarize our plan is prosperity for all. It used to be eradicate poverty. Now it's prosperity for all, which is not the same. I mean, it's a different perspective. It's protecting people and protecting planet. How is it different than before? That is on one of the enablers to us now is private sector. And private sector was often seen a bit at the outskirts of development. We really put it at the core of development. Not that the private sector is a solution to everything. I mean, there are certain domains where government and public investment still play a predominant role. But if you want to be in that perspective of creating prosperity for everyone, then having a thriving middle class of smallholder entrepreneurs, of people who create jobs, who have salaries, who pay taxes. With those taxes, governments have their own income and can track their own direction. That to us really is at the core of development, of how development needs to happen.
During his visit, Administrator De Croo, who also serves as the United Nations Under-Secretary General, was able to engage in crisis resilience and hurricane recovery talks with government and private sector partners. He was also able to observe the scars left on St. Elizabeth in communities impacted by Hurricane Melissa, like Black River, where the work of the UNDP, community members and partners has been making a tangible difference to Jamaican lives.
One of the things I went visiting when I was here in Jamaica was in Black River, where we work together with local fishing communities. And what we do is actually really simple. We have invested in containers which have solar panels on their roof, and inside you have freezers. And so being completely disconnected from the grid at any location, and especially in a location like that, which really has had a lot of damage from Hurricane Melissa, it makes it possible for fishers, first of all, to fish more than just for their own consumption, to put it in a freezer so that they can resell it, and especially to resell it at the moment where the price is right. And this was often the problem with fishers, is that, I mean, as a fisher, well, if you can't sell your fish, it's gone, right? And giving that possibility of using freezer, I mean, this is really simple investment. It opens up a whole different world.
Prior to his appointment as administrator, De Croo served as Prime Minister of Belgium from 2020 to 2025, a tenure that included crisis management during the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the establishment of strategies for economic recovery. He suggests Jamaica's recovery post-Melissa has been remarkable.
First of all, the societal progress is remarkable. You mentioned low unemployment rates, sharply decreasing crime rates, and this is something which, honestly, the outside world does not know enough. And this is, for me, a key takeaway that I have. Second one is the incredible resilience. I mean, we've seen the images of the devastation of Hurricane Melissa. I come here now 5 months later. You couldn't say that you don't see it at all. but you really have to look. I mean, it's not that it just bumps in your face. And so the speed of reconstruction is really something to be proud of. So I would say we've been standing on your side the past 50 years, and a lot of things have happened since then. We are an organization with 23,000 people throughout the world. We work in 150 countries. So we are we are the local development organization. And a lot of the knowledge that we accumulate is actually knowledge that we accumulate at the local level. For example, on crisis preparedness and crisis recovery, a lot of our knowledge development is happening in countries such as Jamaica, and then we replicate it in other places.
Though the acknowledgement will be heartening for many Jamaicans, the UNDP administrator warns against complacency.
Actually preparing for the next one. And you know, there's many things we can do, but we're not geographically going to move the islands. I mean, this is a place that is prone to hurricanes. We hope never again at that scale. But looking at the impacts of climate change, we know that this is going to happen again. And so working together with local governments and with national governments on preparing for the next one, protecting and making sure that the next resilience or the next recovery would be as short as possible is a big part of what we do.
A perspective that invites the UNDP administrator's return to continue the conversation on Jamaica's sustainable growth ambitions in a future business report. I'm Joel Crosskill.
Now to regional and international news with Marshall Hazley.
We begin with news in the region. Legal Affairs Minister Claudette Joseph says Grenada no longer has a medical staffing agreement with Cuba. She made the announcement during a press conference earlier today. Grenada Broadcasting Network reports.
The Cuban Doctors Program has been important for Grenada's healthcare, but the new rules aims for more fairness, transparency, and local oversight. This came up after questions were raised about Cuban medical workers in other countries like Jamaica and Guyana. Senator Joseph explained that while there have been talks about a new arrangement, nothing has been agreed to so far.
Further afield, Israel renews its strikes on Beirut on Thursday as it threatens to expand operations and seize territory in Lebanon if Hezbollah does not stop its attacks. France 24 has the details.
We are against the escalation. We don't want war. We want peace. We want our children to live in this country and secure their future in this country so they can live. War leads nowhere except to destruction, devastation, and death.
Israel, though, has announced quite the opposite. It said it would expand its offensive in Lebanon and pinned the blame on the Lebanese government.
I warned the Lebanese president that if the Lebanese government does not know how to control the territory and prevent Hezbollah from threatening the northern communities and firing at Israel, we will take the territory and do it ourselves.
Still in Lebanon, thousands forced from their homes by renewed clashes between Israel and Hezbollah are scrambling for shelter. With space running out, schools, stadiums, and theaters are being opened to house the displaced. We now hear more from Al Jazeera.
Cinema has always provided an escape from reality, and these children in Beirut need that more.